So I learned I have a soft spot for old, retro, or vintage, whatever word you want to use for old miniatures or Games Workshop in general. I thought it would be cool to have something from the year I was born, 1987. So if you saw my last video, I painted up an old Rogue Trader orc, Squatty Squatter, who had 87 stamped on him. But while painting him up, I had a thought. Why not go deeper? I looked into if there was a way to figure out what month a miniature came out, sort of. There's ways to look up old catalogs and miniatures from Stuff of Legends or Collecting Citadel Miniatures. I'll have links in a blog post in the pinned comment and the description. Finding miniatures that actually came out in March of 1987, when I was born, seems like it's quite a difficult task to confirm, and that's when another idea popped into my head. Why not White Dwarf? So I went on a journey to find out what issue is from March 1987. Easy enough, it's issue 87. I took to eBay and what do you know, there was an issue listed for $9.99. And here it is in all its glory. Not quite pristine, but I consider this character. It aged elegantly for 34 years old. Let's take a look. Now, you might be surprised to see that in these days, White Dwarf was not limited to just Games Workshop. We see Games Workshop presents White Dwarf, the Roleplay Games Monthly. This issue includes 3 special adventures. We have Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, Middle-earth, Paranoia, and Call of Cthulhu Zombies, which is definitely more than 3. Let's check the back cover real quick, and an ad for Chainsaw Warrior, which actually sounds great. It's a solo board game from Games Workshop. And of course, they eventually released Metal Minis. Maybe one day I'll get my hands on a copy for a video. Opening up, we have an ad for the first Golden Demon competition. Very cool. Although I don't know if this guy wins it. Next up, table of contents. First section is Open Box, which basically looks to be descriptive ads for mail-order role-playing books. RuneQuest, Advanced D&D, Lord of the Rings, Call of Cthulhu. Basically what was on the cover. Critical Mass, a book review column, but that's not what we're here for. Look at this Blood Bowl ad. This is crazy. First of all, it was under 13 pounds, and it comes with cardboard standees instead of miniatures. It wasn't until later in the year that the first 13 Blood Bowl minis were finally released. Crazy. Next, extra open box. Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay background. A cool article about the background of the system. We have this ad next. It's mostly ads, which is expected from a magazine. Still, I love the look of these. Super cool. Derek the Troll comic. More tabletop RPG ads. Gundam-looking Mechton. And Teenagers from Outer Space. Space Teeny Boppers. Alien Lowriders. Yeah, no thanks. Another comic, and some good stuff. Trolls. Looks like we got stat lines for Warhammer Roleplay and Fantasy Battles. These minis look cool. Some of them almost like super large orcs. More ads. And a Call of Cthulhu supplement. Okay, here's something cool, although not GW related. Rules for running classic zombies in Call of Cthulhu. Watching Critical Role's Call of Cthulhu one-shot is what got me into role-playing, at least watching it. I have a bunch of the books, but I haven't had the chance to play yet. Next, Night of Blood, a Warhammer Fantasy roleplay adventure featuring Chaos Mutants and Cultists. Awesome artwork. This is pretty in-depth, and it's cool. I wonder how Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay compares to D&D. I know that the 4th edition was released in 2018. I don't really hear anyone talk about it. This is funny. 40 to 70 experience points to each player just for good role-playing. Alright, here's an adventure for MERP, which I had to look up, and it's Middle-earth Role-Playing, which is a great acronym. Pretty long. That's pretty cool that these books gave out detailed RPG scenarios and adventures like this. More GW products, floor tiles, that's cool. Okay, this is what we're waiting for. Heavy Metal. I'm going to pop a scan on the screen so you can see these better. Big Hydra, nice. But these Chaos guys and Orcs are calling me. Lords and Champions, Orc Champions. All very cool. And don't worry about pausing and trying to pick out the minis if you want more info. It's all in my linked blog post. Ooh, more good stuff. New Citadel Chaos. Look at these fantastic... I was going to say minis, but honestly, look at their names. Balspew Flamesword. Marlocked Beastface. Zogbok Face Mace. Next looks like human fighters in armor. Wizards. Warlocks. And giant rats. Okay, we got more ads. An adventure for Paranoia, a dystopian sci-fi TTRPG. Going to run past this one if you don't mind. More ads for jewelry and advanced D&D. Nice. Here's a letters section. More role-playing games. But okay, this Awesome Lies section is, well, awesome. We have a whole section about Warhammer 40,000 / Rogue Trader. Now, at this point in March 1987, there is no Warhammer 40k yet. Let's read a bit of this. Imagine a darkened cell whose sparse furnishings are wormed and dusty, whose unevenly flagged floor is sticky with little pools of saliva, whose sole occupant slumps indecorously upon the cluttered desk. Escape is an impossible dream. Food a luxury earned only by fulfilling quotas other men would think impossible. Like now, the final word of a huge tome is complete, and its bulk lies undisturbed upon the gnarled desktop. I speak of Warhammer 40,000, WH40K, alias Rogue Trader, which some may recall as Citadel's proposed futuristic battle game based around the Warhammer system. Once advertised, never forgotten. Ah, well, WH40K is indeed the long-awaited futuristic version of the Warhammer Fantasy Battle system, and shares many of its mechanisms and much of its feel. WH40K is something of a new approach to future gaming. It's not science fiction, for starters, but pure fantasy set in a far future, about 40,000 years in the future to be approximate. Technology is important, but not the mainstay of civilization. The game is set in a dirty, mean, bloodthirsty universe. Among much else, the background features an emperor as old as the human race, whose psychic energies are all that stands between humanity and extinction. Unfortunately, the only way to keep the emperor alive is by continual sacrifice of lesser psychers, psionics, telepaths, and the like, and by the rigorous suppression of those whose minds have been taken over by unworldly creatures. Although the game shares Warhammer battle mechanisms, they have been suitably modified to allow for very different weapons and equipment. Statistics follow the same form, for example, and many of the creatures cross over. In fact, the Warhammer Fantasy World and WH40K share the same universe. The Slann, as Warhammer players will already know, are extraterrestrials anyway, and as for a place of chaos, all will be revealed. This really is awesome. Issue 93 of September 1987 fully introduces Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader, so we're not too far off here. I'm thinking I'll have to go over this issue at some point. There's a lot of good stuff in there. Anyways, the rest of this issue is mostly ads and classifieds. We do have this nice Ravaging Hordes ad on the inside back cover. So that pretty much wraps up White Dwarf 87. Let me know if you've seen this issue or if you have other old issues. You can actually find a lot of these online if you just search for scans and PDFs. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and leave me a comment. Let me know if I should cover old White Dwarf magazine issues, maybe some old Games Workshop books, or maybe a history of White Dwarf in general. That would be pretty fun to get into. Until next time, see you guys.